This week on Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, a new Skype alpha has landed with video support. And I'm going to tell you whether or not it's worth your time, and VR has finally come to Linux, ? Yeah, by the time this podcast is released, it could very well be out.
Yeah, that's the dream. Solus continues to swim upstream, and I, for one, like where they're headed. And Unigine goes on green light. There's a new benchmark coming.
The next version of Ubuntu will ship with Mir and Unity 8. Yes, like the previous version was supposed to, and the one before, and the one before, and the one before. And Microsoft loves open source once more, and they're bringing CMake in their Visual Studio.
Hey man, don't pick on Ubuntu too much. They're just following the Fedora's project for including Wayland, right?
Wayland, yeah.
That's beautiful. Let's just get right into that, though. Unity 8 desktop session arrives on the Ubuntu 16.10.
Yep. It's entirely optional. They really want you to know that you don't have to use Unity 8, you don't have to use Mir, but it will be available with 16.10. So come tomorrow, hopefully. If everything goes to plan, you will be able to try Mir and the Unity 8 desktops on 16.10. Now, there was one bit that they brought up in the article over at OMG Ubuntu. Don't worry, there'll be links in the show notes. And they say whether Unity 8 actually loads for you after you log in will depend largely on which graphics card you have and which drivers you use for it. Unity 8, or rather Mir, the display server that it runs on, only plays nice with the open source NVIDIA, Nuvo, and open source Intel GPU drivers. Okay, so only people with, for me, NVIDIA GPUs and Intel laptops can use it. Remember during DEPCON 14, when they were asked about Wayland, John Vert from Valve said that without any clear advantage to Wayland or any other display server, when compared to X, when it came to games, they saw no reason to support it. So what do you think will happen when you can't even use the proprietary NVIDIA drivers or any AMD drivers for that matter in order to use Mir?
Well, I mean, you got to understand, all the proprietary drivers work perfectly with Wayland, right?
Well, technically the NVIDIA drivers.
One of the biggest issues we currently have is, it's definitely chicken and the chainsaw issue, because, people need to start using, Wayland, or to a far, hopefully lesser extent, Mir, than you might see NVIDIA, because let's just be real about AMD. NVIDIA develops some proprietary driver goodness for it that actually makes all the workings for the games. What were you saying?
Yeah.
The surprising thing is that it doesn't work with open source AMD drivers. I mean, it's supposed to work with every Mesa implementation, and
not really, because the AMD open source drivers aren't completely open source. You still need the proprietary microcode that is embedded in the kernel. Without it, you can't use them.
Isn't that the AMD GPU Pro?
No. Though that's an entirely separate module that you have to load from the kernel. It's even the open source drivers like R600 and Radeon SI, they still rely on that proprietary microcode. Intel's doesn't, neither does NVIDIA if you have a Fermi, like the 400 and 500 series cards. You can use Nuvo completely open source with those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I just hope is that since it's available and we're getting Wayland and Mir available more widely, maybe this will give a chance for driver developers to fix their stuff and make it work. But I don't know, maybe by 17.4 on Ubuntu.
Well, NVIDIA already has technically a working Wayland driver. Yes. It doesn't work the way that the Wayland developers want it to work, but it works.
This is true, but I mean, it's kind of a bit to do about nothing, because I think everyone's first step is to strip out Unity, except for Matthew. He loves Unity.
Oh, there'll be a comment for that in the show notes.
It's interesting how they did this, though, because, they shipped it in. You don't need to go get a PPA for this preview, and I don't know. I remember installing Unity way back when you had to build it from source. It was just a little preview. I was like, okay, this is going to be neat. This is going to be kind of like a future. I like to see new ideas. Then I saw it, and I was like, yeah, no. But
yeah, but there's something about Unity 8. Even if it worked with like NVIDIA and stuff like this, it's not a feature complete desktop. I mean, it's very like, you see it's built for mobile and you can't really use it as a desktop or like for day-to-day stuff. I mean, it's really incomplete. So
then again, the same argument could be made for regular Unity. But moving on.
Yeah, let's get to this, because what is new in Skype 1.1 not for Linux? Well, they got a new alpha out. It is available, priced to sell at free. With this release, to quote, we've also decided to disable older versions of Skype for Linux alpha. So yay, Microsoft, being Microsoft. Let's give just a little bit of the rundown of this, because I believe it was a couple days back, empty in chat realm, and J-Man, we played around with it to see, because we were curious, because like, you're going to get video with this. Like, okay, we got to play around with this. And I really got it, because our one listener in Tokyo was like, I can't get it to work. And I was like, okay, now we got to see. So did they figure out how to WebRTC, bro? Not really. Here's the thing. Linux to Linux video. That's the only way you can conference with anyone. You can't do it any other way. That just blows my mind how they managed to pull that off. The video itself loads up in 4:3. It does seem to go to a 16:9 format when you double click it, but it looks like it's just a zoomed in mess. And it's only sending plus or minus, little as makes no difference, about 300 up for both your video and audio. And if you've done any typing, it's like, that's not a lot of data, Brad. It's like, no, it's not. It doesn't look great. I mean, it's not horrible, but you wouldn't use it for something like this. The audio is better than the last version of Skype Alpha, but it is light years behind the maybe even 5-year-old desktop Linux client using the Silk codec as opposed to Opus, what they're using. If you want to join a conference call, you can do it. We were just shocked that worked, but it doesn't support video. And that already atrocious audio quality is cut in half for some reason. It's not enhanced. Comparing it to what we're using, the video definitely looks worse than Jitsi. It's what we use for video, and it's actually more CPU intensive to run.
Yeah, I mean, that's strange that it would make a difference between Jitsi and Skype. But what I've noticed is for like a Skype client, they're making like huge progress really fast. I mean, a couple of months back, this didn't exist at all. So at that pace, they may reach feature parity with the regular Skype soon. I don't know. But let's not forget the important thing. It's if you open the About box, they got a dancing penguin in there. That's what I noticed.
That's what everyone wants. So to address your thing about it not existing a few months back, that's not entirely true. This is just Skype Web, which has existed for...
But it didn't exist on Linux.
You could still access it through the browser. I did over almost a year ago, actually. So yeah, it's not new. And the whole thing as to why it uses more CPU than the old version does, well, that's easy. It's an Electron app that doesn't support GPU acceleration. So it's doing everything on the processor.
And if you really want to have fun, if you want to get into some technical things, we were running multiple Skype instances of the new Skype, and all the audio syncs to figure out who's on what channel to adjust audio. Chromium. Still just says Chromium. So it's like, hang on, let's figure out which one on. Everyone shut up. Now you talk. Okay, now we'll adjust that. And you can't really make notes around it. But yeah, as Matthew said, we are making progress. It's Microsoft progress. So, I don't know. I thought we, should take the time for everyone at home and take the Pepsi challenge with it and tell you what we thought. And it won't kill you to install it, but you're still not going to be able to call grandma on it unless you have like a wicked cool grandma, like all of our grandmas who have Raspberry Pis laying around. They're like, yeah, I'm running Linux. Right.
I'm very highly educated. I know we have Patreons. I think we have the best Patreons, but there really are no better Patreons than our Patreons, I think.
So yeah, we definitely we have the best Patreons, don't we, folks? I mean, we absolutely do, and they're the ones making this show possible. Actually, a couple of shows possible. Over at patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. This is how you can help us out. Kick us a quid and keep us loud, live, independent. We have goals. Pick a reward goal. Maybe there's something you like in there. You know, we like to give back for what you can help out with us, but we do have something coming up. Crossing the Streams, that's going to allow us 2 more days to prototype new shows, how-tos, and of course, we're going to scream at each other while playing the video games. This week, something that Pedro is very fond of, a great game, the Trine series. We managed to put a nail in the coffin, and it was adorable because we just finished it, and we're just chatting, and Pedro's like, oh, I can uninstall Trine now.
Yeah, it was actually Jordan who was, okay, so I can uninstall it now. And I was looking at it, yeah, there's absolutely no reason for me to keep it on my YOLO RAID anymore. So, yep, it's gone.
Okay, but yeah, if you want to help us out, do that. That'd be great. And become one of us. One of us. Okay, that's enough shilling. Solus, what is it? Never heard of it.
Yeah, so Solus is that insane distro that Mr. Ike Doherty and the rest of the team are developing.
Look, an animated GIF. It's just like I'm on Reddit.
Yes. So they're developing an entire distro from the ground up. It's not based on Ubuntu. It's not based on Fedora. It's not based on Red Hat. It's not based on Slackware. It's not based on anything. It's from the ground up. So we've kind of sort of followed their development and a couple of decisions that they made early on that didn't work so well at the time, but as they progress, have been working really, really well. I've actually been using Solus on my cheapo laptop, and everything worked out of the box. They even include the Arc theme by default, which is the theme I use, so I didn't even have to change that. But this new release, or the This Week on Solus, as they put the little update blogs, they've introduced the 4.8.1 kernel with the config hardened user copy environment variable enabled by default. They've upgraded or updated LibreOffice to 5.2.2. They also now include in the repos the open source Radeon Vulkan driver. Yes. And there's a bunch of updates for the usual suspects. There's a pretty big list. You can go and check the show notes if you really want to know. And one thing that isn't in this post, but they introduced later, is that they now support LVM2 with full disk encryption. If you want to use that, you're going to have to wait until the 1.2.1 ISO is available. It's currently only for their own Patreons. So keep that in mind.
You completely buried the lead. The most important thing about this release is T-Worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Not 6.3 is finally here. That Strider, what do you think when you go to check somebody's web zone and the first thing you're met with is a 16.3 megabyte animated GIF?
Well, you do have unmetered internet connection, right?
On your mobile device, Brad?
Yeah, sure. What I noticed is a few months ago, we didn't know about Solus. I mean, I maybe saw the name once or twice, but in the past few months, it got a huge amount of popularity and it's growing really fast. And that must be a side effect of being a new distro that isn't just an Ubuntu with a custom theme and custom wallpaper.
Elementary.
Well, I mean, Elementary does some good things as well, but also Solus does things the right way, so that's what gets people interested. And I'm going to install it on my laptop now that it's running again. And yeah, I mean, I want to try it out. That got me interested, and usually I'm not interested in running anything other than Ubuntu. And for once, I'm interested in a system, in OS. So
yeah, and it works really well for something that they basically compiled from the ground up. Pretty good.
And still no Hannah Montana Linux, man. Software version replacing IBM Comrades, Microsoft with Ubuntu software. Yeah. All right.
Solid Stone. I missed you.
Yeah, man, I don't know where the eye patch is, to be honest with you. I can't find it. Yeah, Russia is taking another step to reduce dependencies on Oracle Corporation. Microsoft, can we just call them Evil Corp, hashtag Mr. Robot, to replace...
That's Dell, though.
Yeah, a bunch of their business stuff. Yeah, that's like a political argument, right? But
yep.
I was definitely reading through this. The headline for this article should read... Russia bluffs, IBM and Oracle, bluffs. So IBM and Oracle will give them a better deal, man.
Yeah, no, it's this is a very politically charged article, of which the only thing I'm willing to take away from it is the fact that Russia is embracing open source. Mm-hmm. And that's good. The UK is also moving towards using open source. Germany already changed several municipal systems over to their own custom Linux distro, which is amazing. So yeah, I'm very much in favor of this. This is progress. And if progress means giving US corporations a proper kick in the nuts, sure.
Didn't Spain recently switch over the constables of the police department or something?
Yep. That was 2-3 months ago.
Okay. We'll give them that. I mean, this comes after the news. I mean, what you really got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is Mother Russia already runs open source because I had totes replaced Putin with a refurbished Pedro Mark III in February. Yeah, probably answers more questions than it doesn't it? Strider, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, it's still a big mystery to me that some governments still use proprietary software, and even the U.S. shouldn't run U.S.-made like software from U.S. corporations.
Malpractice up the wazoo.
Yeah, I mean, it's just their lack of computer knowledge that makes this happen. And even in France, they just made some deals like with the education and Microsoft, and I think this was cancelled at some point, but I'm still not sure. But yeah, I mean, they make some deals with like Microsoft or IBM and stuff like that. It shouldn't happen. I mean, why would government trust like corporations like this? I mean, it's not right. It doesn't feel right. And open source is the right way to go.
Well, you got to remember, I mean, full disclaimer, he's French, so he hates capitalism and freedom. Okay, tell me about why these two deserve each other.
Oh, boy.
Everyone deserves CMake, I guess. So, yeah, Visual Studio now has support for CMake files. So that's a good thing, I guess, because like CMake is now a build system used widely in...
Wait, didn't CMake actually support Visual Studio for the longest time?
Yes, but not the other way around.
Oh, okay, all right.
CMake supported Visual Studio, but Visual Studio didn't support CMake. So now they can... Right. Mm-hmm. They can support each other and like make out and something. So this is a really good thing, I guess, because I really don't like seeing like Visual Studio specific stuff in my open source projects, because it gives me the impression that the developers are coding for Windows only and they don't really care about other systems. If everything is built upon CMake, then that means we will probably get some better compatibility on Linux. They only have to maintain one build system. It's better for cross-platform overall, so I'm good with that. And CMake is far from being the worst build system around. I mean,
yeah, there's always code blocks.
All right, CMake is not the worst build system around, but that's like saying you got the good type of cancer. Pedro, why should anybody touch this nope sandwich?
Yeah, that's what I asked the moment I read this little excerpt from this announcement. We've contributed support for generating Visual Studio C++ projects targeting Windows Store and Windows Phone on CMake. Woohoo! Why? I can't imagine those to be a very popular platform, regardless of what Microsoft's marketing machine would like you to believe. I don't see it.
I don't know. All right, CMake's better than what it used to be. Okay.
It's not code blocks. I will stand by the fact that CMake is still better than code blocks.
It's not code blocks. It's not the nightmare fuel it used to be. I mean, you can read the output of it now. I remember the first time I installed CMake and I had like an extra package. It's like CMake GUI. And I was like, why? What? I was like, oh yeah, you might actually need that with this. It's gotten better. I don't run away after I clone it again. And I was like, oh right, make a build directory. I was like, oh man. But normally you can sort things. I just think these two projects deserve each other. Maybe it will help out Microsoft's trying, man. Microsoft's like a cat. It's not inherently bad, but it still does stupid stuff because it's in its DNA. So that's a thing. But let's get over to the Unigine.
Yeah, the not open source side of things. This is Unigine. What do they call it? Superposition. That's the one. Yes. So the Unigine superposition benchmark comes hot on the heels of 2 or 3 years of silence from Unigine since they released the Heaven 4.0 update. And they released Valley after that. Yeah, that came afterwards. But now they're actually on Steam Greenlight, and they want your approval so they can, share the Windows and Linux benchmarks over through Steam. And that's a good idea. And like the first thing that popped into my mind was because they give you like the little teeny tiny list of features there where they say top-notch visuals, global leaderboards, stress load, scalable quality settings, VR mode. Sure, why not? Free interactive mode with mini games. Oh, so it's not a walking simulator if you actually decide to take control of the benchmark. That's good. And support for Windows and Linux. But there's like a glaring omission there, and I, like everyone else, asked, so will there be Vulkan benchmarking? To which the reply was a very simple no. At least not at launch. We'll see after that. So, I gotta ask, why is everyone so scared of ticking Microsoft off and showing the world that Vulkan is just as good, if not better than the X12?
That just made me laugh because I honestly don't think Microsoft knows what an Unigine is. Kind of like game developers.
Yeah, there's probably a good reason for that. We've seen a couple of games with Unigine, but that's for another show. Now, admittedly, I don't know for sure if Unigine supports the X12 at all either. They've been tight-lit on that, but it wouldn't really surprise me if it did.
Well, check this out. They are on Greenlight, and I think it would be nice to have a decent benchmarking utility for Linux, and they've always been good about releasing all of their benchmarks for Linux, but having that built into Steam so Richard Stallman can go DRM and throw a katana at you, but it would still allow you to just have something to download and pull up very quickly. But Strider, this did not release with Vulkan on launch, therefore it's invalid. They should burn it to the ground, right?
I mean, it will probably get Vulkan at some point, but Vulkan is hard, and it's very young. It's been here for like a few months, and it's very hard to master. And the Unigine people, they have been there for a long time. They have a lot of experience with OpenGL and with DirectX as well. But porting the whole thing to Vulkan and make it run good, it takes time. So we'll probably see that, but give it some time.
Man, what they should do is the psychopaths at Crow Team should start up their own Vulkan system. To like, hey,
yeah, I mean, the Core Team, they have the Vulkan benchmark with Talos. So,
yep.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's Dota 2 and Talos. They're like the two games right now that you can actually benchmark Vulkan with.
Do they have a benchmark?
Steam Dev Days, they're here, and let's speculate.
Yep. Speculate all the things.
Yeah, so this is happening right now as we speak. You can follow the Steam Dev Days on Twitter. There's a hashtag. There is a lot of talk about the upcoming stuff. The surprising stuff is that you can hear Valve caring about SteamOS and Linux again. I mean, I find this incredible. There's a lot of talk about VR. There's a lot of talk about Vulkan. It's stuff that we're waiting for. We've been waiting for months now, and I just hope that's when this event is over, they release things, actual things that we can use. We're going to talk about this in just a minute, but this will make me respect Valve a bit more.
Yeah, there's one little specific point in the technical integration bit that is tickling me, which is building Unity games for SteamOS/Linux.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're talking about that. How about all those years of really, really shoddy performance in Unity games on Linux? And now they talk about it. Come on.
Well, maybe they'll just walk out there and just go, quit. Right. But the two things they're going to be talking about that struck me, they will be talking about the Vulcans, and they're going to be talking about virtual reality. But virtual reality doesn't work on Linux. But, well, listen, Othervin, I got a story to tell you. Because, Perry, how do you say that, Frenchie? Perry?
Pierre-Loup.
Lou? All right. Anyway, Linux VR demo. Okay, that's on a box. What does that mean?
It means an HTC Vive that has Linux drivers. Finally.
I don't know, man. I can kind of feel it. I can kind of feel Empty's beard twitching from here up on this announcement. Okay. He's going to be giving a talk. And yeah, that is a bit of a tease. Hopefully, this talk is, guys, it's early days, but it's available with now sauce all over it, and not the kind of talk of, yeah, it works. It'll probably come out Q4 2017.
I don't know. It's Valve, so maybe if we're lucky, it's going to be here like tomorrow. But I'm expecting to ship within 6 to 8 months because it's Valve.
Now, Pedro, I want to know whether or not you're excited, because everyone knows my stance on before Valve announced anything with VR is like, yeah, it looks like a toaster is having sexual relations with your face when you're wearing something like that. And it's just not there. We're close, but we're at minimum one generation away from this being a completely viable solution. Are you going to run out by an HTC Vive for like 800 euros or whatever?
No. See, that's completely prohibitive for someone like me who isn't making considerable amounts of money. It's absolutely prohibitive. I can't just run out and get one. That's more than I get paid a month. So no. But yeah, the idea of VR, it's not the next big thing. It's a step on the way to the next big thing, because VR as it stands right now, it's just glorified motion controls. It's what Nintendo already did with the Wii. It's what the PlayStation already tried to do with the PlayStation Move. Although they actually brought those controllers back now with the PlayStation VR thingy. And from what I hear, the PlayStation VR is much more comfortable to use than the Vive. It's not as heavy. It doesn't get in the way so much if you have,
the PlayStation VR is going to be brilliant because it's such a cheap, low-entry device that you don't have to set up anything. I'm sure they'll have, but people are going to ignore all the safety issues with it and not have a space, so they're going to be killing themselves to death, tripping over stuff in their living room, and the YouTube videos are going to be awesome.
Yep.
Strider.
Yeah, I mean, it's VR. Once they understand it's not going to be like a huge thing, they will focus more on actual video games, the one we're used to play, and we'll be back in business, like the real business of video games. I'm just waiting for this to be over, like it was. We got this in the 90s.
Yeah.
I remember,
we both remember this. And I think it is, we're kind of at that weird point in the cycle because VR was so hyped up. Now everyone's made their products and they're releasing their products. Hype's died down, and it's the people making the products trying to maintain that hype train where it's like, it's just not ready. It's not a big thing. And I think it's going to reach market penetration to the point of what I said on Linux Gamecast Weekly. Awesome show. Love the host. I said, you're going to see the adoption for something, and it's a very expensive piece of kit. So you're going to see an adoption like that with like my buddy Josh Wallerus on PC Per having a full racing setup with the wheels and the pedals and all that business. You're going to know about that many people with VRs versus that many people with a full racing setup. And I think that's currently what we are seeing. But Pedro, are you hungry? Would you like a slice of pie?
Yes, I want me some slice of that pie, but apparently someone's doing something they shouldn't do with the Pixel. Strider, tell us about it.
Yeah, we talked about the Pixel, so that was a desktop, a new desktop for the Raspberry Pi. Like we a bit faster and better than the last one they shipped with on Raspbian. And apparently the wallpapers, they're not that free, so you can't distribute them. And of course, someone got scared of being sued over wallpaper. Yeah, that's adorable.
Oh, yeah, because the way that the license is actually written down is that the photographer grants the licensee non-exclusive, non-transferable, and non-assignable use of all images above for 10 years for the purpose of use as a default wallpaper, including with the Raspbian operating system provided by the Raspberry Pi Foundation. So if you can read the whole thing, there will be links in the show notes as usual. But as it turns out, the background image, you can only use it for free for 10 years for personal use. You cannot, say, load Raspbian with Pixel onto a Raspberry Pi and then hand it out to students, because otherwise you would be breaching that non-redistributable clause in the license, because you can't redistribute it.
So
you can.
What would happen if you just took out the background image?
Yeah, I mean, you could have...
Supposedly, you would just be okay with it. But they chose to use that particular
This is FLOSS,
photograph.
baby, so we're going to turn it into a storm, right?
Yeah, and
yeah, basically.
Instead of making a small shell script to remove the wallpapers and replace them with something else, or make bug reports to the project and ask them for replacements, then of course they forked the whole thing, and now they're going to have to maintain the fork forever. So the interesting thing is that there is not only the wallpaper thing, but there's also some bug fixes. Again, you could make some bug reports and get that fixed upstream. But no, you have to fork the whole thing and maintain it.
So, admittedly, that fork that Strider is mentioning already existed before Pixel came along. It was a slightly even more cut down version of the LXD desktop that Raspbian came by default with. Now, all they did was basically backport all of the Pixel improvements that weren't licensed inappropriately, as it were. They just backported those and introduced them. So, yeah. That's why you never include really restrictive licensed bits a kit with really, really open hardware.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they fix that in the future.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's definitely TIL for a lot of things, and trust me, that's nothing compared with redistributing FFmpeg. I think I should.
Not those compiled binaries.
The document of nope. Anyway. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe you have some ideas. Maybe it's a good thing that they did that, and you would like to tell us. How can they do that, P-Man?
Oh, they can do that every single way imaginable. Well, you can't really imagine it because we're not telepathic yet. We're working on that. So for the time being, if you'd like to get in touch with us, go on over to linuxgamecast.com. Fill out the little contact form you see. Yes, by clicking on the contact button. You fill out that form, you get in touch with us. You can send some feedback for the Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday or some hate mail for the Linux Gamecast Weekly. That's that other show we do. Now, if you also see the video posted on YouTube, or if you see it posted on one of the social medias, track down the original post. If it's on YouTube, just leave us a comment down there. Leave us a comment. We'll probably get back to you right then and there. But if it's something really important, like you disagree with us on something we said, we love that. So we'll probably feature that right here on the feedback.
All right, coming in first, people were talking about the KDEs last week and the notification pop-up thingy that tells you that people are calling you. Anyway, Daniel Y writes, I'm a KDE user and do also like the KDE Connect task, especially if I forget to turn up my ringer on my phone. KDE will notify me in silent mode. Again, my house, it's Deep Space Nine in here with tablets. They're everywhere. So when I get so much as a message from one of these two yahoos, it lights up like Christmas. Yeah, I was like, whoa, what's going on? But that is a neat feature. I remember hacking my old Series 1 TiVo with a caller ID. You could put a resistor in there, and it would come up on screen. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't answer my question, though. I want to know if I can run KDE Connect on GNOME or Unity or something else.
Yes, you can. Yes, yes, you can. Like I said last week, it's called Indicator KDE Connect. Why does no one pay attention to what I said?
I don't know. I don't remember you being on the show last week. What did you say?
Not last week, the one before that.
See, this man can't even keep track of what shows he's on. He doesn't know.
I didn't even know it was Wednesday today, so...
We're bringing you the top talent. LGC cares, baby. Okay, coming up. Last but not
all right,
least.
up next, Chris. 69 finally.
Talking about the
virtual camera thing.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about the new Skeeps.
Oh, okay.
The new Skeeps video. So virtual camera seems handy, but that audio codec, worse than old Skype. I could see using Skype for video, something else for audio, but then you have to fight with sync. Wouldn't know anything about that.
Wait, it's almost like we use two separate products for recording audio.
Trade secrets, man. Come on.
No, that's not the trade secret, son. I'm the trade secret. We are not Raptor bus proof. I fall apart. We're gone. We're out.
Yeah, no, it's going.
No, Chris hit me back with that. Chris does another show. Actually, Chris does a bunch of shows. Linux Action Show, Coda Radio, and because they're always looking for different solutions. And we've talked back and forwards because we have equal disdain for Skype. And it's not even worth considering it. I mean, it's worth giving it a peek, giving it a look. If you don't know, you can head over to the YouTube web zone to our channel and just sort by videos. We did in like 15, 20 minutes of just live testing, loading up the latest Skeeps with videos for the first time. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but you can kind of get an idea of what Empty likes to listen to in the background while testing things. I mean, it's brilliant, right, Strider?
I still haven't used that Skype stuff, and I'm not even sure I will.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather give something else a try, and we should talk about it.
That's going to do it for this week's Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday.
No, the other one.
The one you added at the last minute.
That's
right,
yes.
Kevin. I almost forgot about you, little buddy. I'm a horrible person. Man, still talking about Skype. He comes in, he's like, hey, man, would rather not use a Microsoft product when FLOSS options exist, such as Ring. Oh, did I mention Ring? Here's another link to Ring, because I heard you like to ring when you ring. And okay, if you're going to do the open source Holy War thing, it's FLOSS. Free Libre open source software, not FOSS. You want to get that right before you start this type of argument, especially with me, someone who's been a Linux zealot for well over 20 years and only running the Linux sauce. However, I wanted to reply to you in person instead of doing this on the chats because you only use open source software, so you only play open source games. That's my favorite one to throw out because unless you do that, you're a hypocrite. I love using that with you. AMD has open source drivers, therefore they're better than NVIDIA. And I was like, do you play only open source games? That's different. Why is that different? Because I've drawn the line there. See? Ha, ha, ha. And that's completely the argument. However, Ring's an awesome program. There's a bunch of really good VoIP clients out there that do the business, and they're good at it. But I actually got to scroll down here. I want to make sure I'm on the right thing. The biggest issue is grandma. Grandma probably doesn't have Ring unless you have wicked cool grandmas like we do. And more importantly, that interviewer probably not going to run Ring. I'm only half joking about that because, Massus Fang, who was on last week and who's on Linux Gamecast Weekly, he straight up told the interviewer to get his keister on Jitsi if he wanted to make this happen, which the interviewer did. And I was just... All right.
Yeah, I mean, Jitsi is a really nice option for everyone because you don't have to set up anything. You just send a link, say, okay, I'm here, let's chat, and you have zero setup, just have to open the browser.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you want to do some more advanced stuff, like sharing your desktop, which you need to install an extension for, it's really a simple solution and it works.
Straight up, I don't have to install it. I can share my desktop through Jitsi with you right now.
Don't you need an extension for that? No, because you
you need a kernel module for that.
Yeah, you have the virtual cameras for that, so it's cheating.
Right. I guess we're done cheating for this evening. For reals this time. Unless, Pedro, do you have any thoughts? on this one?
No, that's Ring is. It would be awesome if the audio quality was good.
Yeah. Ring. But for reals this time, this has been Linux Game. Oh, man. Wow. Linux Weekly,
it hasn't.
Daily Wednesday. See, these just threw me off, man. I don't even know what day it is either. I had that problem last week. But we will be back next week. Normally go about 3 p.m. Eastern time. But I'm Vin Stone. You can find me at Vin Stone on the Twitter net. So if you want to hit me on the G+, that's Vin Stone. Scream in my direction. I'll definitely get back to you.
Hi, I'm Pedro Mateos. I squirreled for a bit there. There was some movement behind me. You can always find me at unaccounted4 on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+.
And I'm Magic Commando, and you can find me at Striker on Twitter or at plus Magic Commando on Google+.
We will see you next week. Lovely, lovely people.
Bye-bye.